Well, hello everyone. How have you been the last couple of days? I hope you haven't actually been riddled with anxiety over everything that's been going on, but I did think I would make this video just because apparently a lot of people out there don't understand how presidential elections work in the United States, so I'm going to lay a little bombshell on you. What happened on Tuesday was not people voting for president. The total number of people who voted for Joe Biden on Tuesday was 0. The total number of people who voted for Donald Trump on Tuesday was 0. The total number of people who did mail-in votes for Joe Biden was 0. The total number of people who did early voting for Trump was 0. None of that happened. So you may wonder what was all that to do with the colored maps all about. Well, what actually happens is, when you have a candidate for president, the candidate's party, when he gets on the ballot, submits a number of electors. And each state has a number of electors. For example, North Carolina, my home state, has 15 of them. So when the Democrats, the North Carolina Democratic Party, had their state convention, they selected 15 electors to represent North Carolina if Biden won. And the Republicans did the same with Donald Trump, and the Libertarians did the same with Joe Jorgensen, and that happened in every state. So the way this works is our founders did not want a direct election of the president by popular vote. They did not like democracy. They hated democracy. They hated everything about it. They saw it as a form of tyranny, and they didn't want it. What they wanted was a republic. And that's why Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution guarantees a republican form of government. So basically what that meant in their time was the parliamentary procedure. And this is where you have the bicameral situation that we have and that the UK has. In our case, it's a house where people are elected as population. Each state has the representatives apportioned by population. And then the Senate, each state gets 2. So you have better, more equal representation across the country, regardless of your location. Well, ordinarily in a parliamentary procedure, the parliamentary body, in this case Congress, would select the president. Well, they didn't like that either, because they didn't want the president to be beholden to Congress, and for Congress to say, hey, you didn't do what we like. If you don't do what we like, we won't reelect you. And they wanted separation of powers. They didn't want Congress to have that power. So their idea was that at the same time we elect Congress, we elect another body in equal numbers called the Electoral College. So North Carolina has 15 electors because we have 13 members of Congress because of our population and 2 senators like every state. So every state is going to have at least 3 electors. And then some of the big ones like California have over 50, and they make this huge difference, of course. But that's because of their population, so. Now, what they didn't want is this kind of winner-take-all thing that we have right now, where if Trump wins North Carolina by even a tiny bit, he gets all 15 votes, instead of him getting 8 and Joe Biden getting 7, which I think is the way it should be. But so yeah, there's still a couple of problems with that, but that's the way it works. So what happened on November 3rd was we voted for our preferred candidates, Trump or Jorgensen or Biden or whoever, the Green Party, whoever your candidate was. You were actually voting for that slate of electors. And so all of this is about figuring out who the electors are going to be, and then the electors are going to select the president. So now, people are wondering why we don't have a president now. Why isn't the election a done deal? Isn't that unusual? Well, no, because what you get on election day are just unofficial preliminary results. You don't get the official counts until the precincts do all their canvassing. That's where they go over all the votes, make sure they're counted correctly. They got to open up all the mail-in votes and the absentee ballots, and whatever your particular state does with any early voting it does. And they have to figure all of that out. So November 4th through the 14th is the counting of the popular votes and filing of the certificates of ascertainment. Now I'm going to give you a link to this PDF file that explains it all and gives all the dates. as you can know in detail what's going on. I know in North Carolina, they do the canvassing over the course of a week, and so we'll actually have the official results next Tuesday. And that's typical. That's the way it does every year. And the way the precincts work is you need representatives from the different parties to keep it honest. So there are going to be Democrats and Republicans there, both going through the votes, making sure they're counted correctly. Now, as far as third party like libertarians are, there generally aren't enough volunteers to do that. But if you're a libertarian and you think that there should be a libertarian in your district that's helping out with the canvassing and going over everything to make sure, then show up and volunteer. I mean, they have to, at least in North Carolina, they have to let in a member of a balloted party. So if you're a libertarian, libertarians are on the ballot in your state. You can go in and do that, and that helps keep everything honest. That way, if the Democrat goes over and say, "Oh, look in," he comes in with this box, "I just found all these votes for Joe Biden," the other can go, "What are you talking about? Where did those come from?" We got to make sure those are valid votes. So helps keep everything honest. So the certificates must list the names of the electors chosen by the voters and the number of votes received in the popular election results, and also the names of all losing candidates for elector and the number of votes they received. And they make the certificate of ascertainment, often signed by state governors, must carry the seal of the state. So at that point, you say, okay, this state has voted for this slate of electors, which is associated with this particular candidate, and that's who you were really voting for on November 3rd. And so now we've got these official results, and we're going to send them on. One copy is forwarded to the Archivist of the United States. It's going to get down. Okay, it's being slow. The Archivist, while 6 duplicates of the certificate of ascertainment must be provided to the electors by December 14th, the date on which they meet. And then the next date they have is December 8th, which is the safe harbor deadline. If election results are contested in any state, and if the state prior to Election Day has enacted procedures to settle controversies or contests over electors and electoral votes, and if these procedures have been applied and the results have been determined 6 days before the electors' meetings, then these results are considered to be conclusive and will apply in the counting of the electoral votes. This date, known as the Safe Harbor deadline, falls on December 8th in 2020. The governor of any state where there was a contest and in which the contest was decided according to established state procedures is required to send a certificate describing the form and manner by which the determination was made to the archivist as soon as practicable. So, it's all over as far as the voting and the contesting of the votes and everything by December 8th. That's when you get the proper votes of the electors in. And then on December 14th, the electors vote. They meet in their states. And in the District of Columbia, they vote by paper ballot, casting 1 ballot for president and 1 for vice president. They count the results. They sign 6 certificates, each of which contains 2 lists, one of which contains the electoral votes for president, the other vice president, and the names of the persons receiving votes and the number of votes cast for them. And that's the certificates of the vote, which the electors are required to sign. They then pair the 6 certificates of ascertainment provided by the state governors with the certificates of the vote and sign, seal, and certify, and they're distributed by registered mail, 1 to the president of the Senate, which is the vice president. Yes, the vice president is president of the Senate. Don't let that get confusing. 2 certificates to the Secretary of State or equivalent officer of the state in which the electors met, 2 certificates to the archivist, and 1 to the judge of the U.S. District Court of the district in which the electors meet. Okay, so we've got all of these verified by the electors, signed, sealed, and copies delivered to all these different people, so that if there's a question, there's always another copy you can look at. And those are to be delivered to the officials by December 23rd. And then there's all this stuff about failure to deliver certificates by December 23rd, kind of goes on about that. All right. Where it all happens. January 6, 2021, the joint session of Congress to count the electoral votes and declare the election results. This is when the president is actually chosen. The Senate and the House assemble, declare the results, and if one of the tickets has 270 or more, then the vice president announces the results, which shall be deemed a sufficient declaration of the persons, if any, elected president and vice president. So it's really the vice president. It's going to be Pence up there saying, who won the election. That's it. That's when it all happens. And then you can have joint session challenges and the inauguration on the 20th. So, yeah, it's a whole process. It is not as simple as we met on December 3rd, made some ballots were counted, it should be over now. No, I mean, there's still things to do. There's still ballots to get in. There's still the mail-in and absentee ballots and things like that. And they've got to certify and they've got to canvass them. Now, it's generally been the case that it hasn't made a difference. Maybe it's made a little bit of a difference in some very tight states. But we haven't yet seen it where it's made a difference of like 5 percentage points. That's very unusual. I'm not going to get into that in this video and just make of all of that what you will. But I did see a lot of people being confused. It's like, why are they changing this? Why are they adding new ballots? We've already elected. Well, because people cast ballots and those ballots need to be counted and they haven't finished counting them yet. You've got the preliminary results of everyone who voted on election day, but people who voted absentee, their votes count. This has always been the case. This isn't anything new. So I just thought I'd kind of let you get some information on how this process works and kind of why we're going through this. And it's been such a close, contested race, unlike what the pollsters predicted. Again! Yeah, seems to me like someone might have pointed that out beforehand. Don't remember who that was. But anyway, just thought I'd let you know this is the process. This is what goes on. And in a really close contested race like that, yeah, it may be a while before we get an answer as to who's elected. So thank you so very much. If you like me giving you this kind of information, please go to donate.bogosity.tv. Give whatever you can, even if it's just a few pennies with cryptocurrency, or become a regular supporter at Patreon or Subscribestar. Get these videos early and ad-free. And above all, share this. Share this everywhere you can to everyone you can. Someone's posting a video talking about, why don't we have results yet? Give them a link to this. Let them come here. Let them see what's going on. Let them understand how presidential elections in this country actually work. And just, as always, share all of my videos everywhere because that helps it. Also, if you comment, apparently that helps feed the algorithm as well. So if you see any of my videos that you think deserve more attention, those are the things you can do. Comment, share, get them around everywhere. Every little bit helps. Thank you so much. Until next time, stay strong and be free.